Hi everyone, this is Cheryl Abram and this is my channel, Life Without a Witness. If you like what you hear on this channel or you think that it's something someone else would like to hear, please share the link and don't forget to like the video. Now, this is a very exciting video for me to make because I have had a question for like the past 5 years. And I am just now getting an answer to that question. So, as some of you may know, and if not, you're about to know now, I am the author of a book called Firing God. Okay, I wrote it in like 2014, and it's about my journey out of a belief system. Okay, now don't let the title fool you because it's a lot deeper than that. But one of my primary questions after writing this book, while writing the book, even before writing the book. So I grew up as a Christian, and you would read that in the book. And I wondered, after everything that happened to me, that made me come to see things differently. I wondered, when I was a Christian, when I was praying, when I was worshiping, when I was doing all these things, who was I talking to? Who was I singing for? Who was I lifting my hands to? Because now I'm at the point to where, okay, this idea of God, of being a being somewhere looking at me, judging me, blessing me, punishing me, and all this other stuff. I no longer believe that. But I wondered, when I did believe it, like who was I talking to, when I was saying my prayers? Who was I testifying about, and all that. So this has really been, and I've been seriously looking at this. Like, I really want to know, because let me tell you something. When I had the experience that led me to where I am now, something was there. Okay, there was a sense of loss when I finally questioned, my belief and this being called God, right? When I finally questioned that, and I saw that it wasn't true, something was lost. And I said this in one of my interviews that I did. Something absolutely was there and it was just gone. It was not there anymore. So I've been wondering, what was that? Because that was the object of my praise. That was the direction that my prayers were going in. So what was it? If it wasn't this, this omnipotent, omnipresent being outside of me, then what the hell was it? So now I'm going to take a page out of my mentor, James Baldwin's book. Y'all know, some of y'all know, you're about to know. I love James Baldwin. Every single word that came out of his mouth, he's absolutely amazing. Go to my Facebook page. I got all kind of stuff about him on there. So James Baldwin had a speech in Berkeley in 1979. Go to YouTube and find this speech. Okay, it'll change your life. All right, it's a very good speech. And if for nothing else, he's an amazing orator. Okay, so you'll learn something either way. So Berkeley in 1979, and in that speech, he began by saying, "Let's redefine some things." He was talking about the English language, and he said, "What a writer comes to realize is that he or she is involved in a language that she's going to have to change." Now, in my everyday work, I've already realized that, in the work I do in learning and evaluation, I have changed so many, definitions and ways that I see things in order to better be able to do my work. So the same thing is happening here. So when I talk about this today, and I help explain who I was talking to, what I was directing all this energy to, I'm going to have to use words probably in ways that you haven't seen or heard them used. Okay, so let me just prepare you for that. So the first thing I want to introduce before I get into detail about what I see, I was directing those prayers to. There's something called now this is from the cybersecurity world. So I do some work in cyber, which is very interesting. And so some of this comes from that world. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is something called consensual hallucination. Consensual hallucination. So you're giving your agreement, to believe in something that isn't there. Now, we use this all the time. Okay. Anytime you sit down and you watch a movie, you get emotional, you get mad, you get happy, sad, all this stuff. You are engaged in consensual hallucination because what you're doing is you are deliberately, on purpose, suppressing your critical thinking. And you're saying, I know that what I see in front of me is not real, but I'm going to ignore that so that I can enjoy it. That's what consensual hallucination is, right? All of us that got mad and upset at the end of Game of Thrones, I was one of them. We were very upset that it ended that way. Never mind the fact you got dragons flying up in there. You got these things called White Walkers. You know that ain't true. People coming back from the dead, from witches, doing all this other kind of stuff, right? But we get angry and upset and all this stuff when we watch these movies because we have given our permission to be fooled. We're saying, fool me. I want to be, because I want to enjoy this. I want to feel what the actors feel. I want to engage in all those emotions. Okay. I want it to be like I'm there. I'm involved, right? That's called consensual hallucination. And you use it all the time. And for many of us, we keep it suppressed, even when we come out of the movie theater or from in front of, but that's a whole nother conversation. But consensual hallucination. So that's going to be important in my explanation as to what I was talking to, who I was talking to. The next thing I want to talk about is cipher. Okay. Now you hear cipher like in the hip hop community. You'll hear that, right? I love Busta Rhymes is just great. Like y'all know he's very, very good. There's also someone called Blind Fury, who just, this dude shuts people down, when he does these ciphers, right? And it's like it's almost like improv, right? You just right off the cuff, you're just coming up with stuff and you're just on it, right? So cipher it has two meanings here that I want to bring out in regards to what I'm talking about. The first one is it means nil or nothing. Okay. Now the second one, when it comes to the cyber world, it means to encode, right? So it's like a secret message. Okay. When you cipher, you're encoding something that someone else then has to decode, if they want to understand what you're talking about. So the last term I want to bring up is crystallized self. Now, I this is actually a thing. Like you can go to Wikipedia or somewhere and look up crystallized self, but it's saying that it's every person is made of parts like a crystal, right? And those parts are not real and they're not fake. They're just parts of yourself. Like for example, as I'm sitting here, I am a mother, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a coworker, I'm an employee, I'm a veteran, I'm a woman, I'm a heterosexual, I am a professional evaluator, I'm a social worker. That's 10 things. As I'm sitting here in front of you, I am 10 things. Okay, 10 roles, 10 different people. Okay, who relates to 10 other, all of those roles, there's a relationship there, right? So all of those roles require something at the other end, in order to create that role, right? So for mother, I have children at the other end for there. For a girlfriend, I have a boyfriend. For veteran, I have the United States military, or the Veterans Administration, so each of those roles tethers two things together. All right. So crystallized self, if you can think about it like that, think of your crystallized self. What kinds of roles have you created? And what's on the other end of that role? What is that role in relationship to? Now, what I figured out is that when I prayed, when I got on my knees in church, when I went up in front of the church at 12 years old and I confessed Christ and I said, Lord, I'm a sinner, I need to be saved, come and cleanse my heart, or something like that. I said, I had to repeat after the minister. I don't remember everything he said, but it was something like that, right? What was I doing? So let me read something right here from my book, Fire in God, real quick. I just want to read two things because they're very important. So in the beginning, which is the first chapter on page 7, I say, when it came to problem solving and getting more, church and God were the big players in my life. From a very young age, God was woven throughout every aspect of my existence, whether I wanted him there or not. Now, listen to the words I say. I said he was woven throughout every aspect of my existence. Okay. I'm going to read one more thing before I tell you who I was talking to. If you have a complete puzzle where no pieces are missing, why would you look for a missing piece? So this is the chapter 3. It's called Making What's Missing. Okay. Why would you look for a missing piece? Why would you abandon the complete puzzle to go on a lifelong journey to find what is not missing? You wouldn't. Only insanity would take that journey. Only insanity would fuel a search for what is not missing. As a child, I was a complete puzzle, a whole enigma, an undivided mystery. But how can I take, this is on the next page, but how can I take something that is whole and make it incomplete? I have to redefine it. I have to create my own definition of wholeness. So that's what I did. I redefined myself by adding my own knowledge to the complete puzzle that I am. The knowledge I added was the mark. My marks were concepts and beliefs that I held. Okay, making what's missing. I cannot need a savior. I cannot need eternal life. I cannot need God until something is missing, until something is deficient. I have to create that deficiency first before I can need all that other stuff. So that's exactly what I did. When it comes to crystallized self, when I was praying, talking to the Lord, crying out, crying in my room by myself with a group of people in front of church, whatever it was, I was talking to myself, a self that I had created. That self was the sinner, right? That self was the believer. And the sinner and the believer were in relationship to what I had made. There was nothing there on its own, right? I had to make that. So when I was praying and crying and all that stuff, I was talking to just another piece of myself that I had created, right? It might sound weird, but that's what it is. So when I go somewhere, as I'm sitting right here, and I talked about those 10 roles that I am, those 10 different people that's sitting in front of you right now as one person, that's omnipresence, right? I take all of this everywhere I go, right? So the God that was part of me that I had created, God was just another relationship that I had made, on my own because I had to. Because I can't get to heaven, I can't get eternal life, I can't get all these other things unless I'm deficient in some kind of way. So I had to make that deficiency in order for me to get that other thing. Okay? So that's I'm omnipresent. So I'm everywhere all the time. Everywhere all the time, right? And what's the other one? You have omnipresence, omniscience, and the other one. So Oh, all knowing. Which one is all knowing? Whichever one is all knowing. So what I see that means when you're all knowing, whatever you're right about, that's what you're where you're all knowing. Okay. 1 plus 1 is 2. Am I right about that? Is that right? Is that the right answer? 1 plus 1 is 2. That means I'm all knowing in that area because I'm right. When you're right, ain't nothing else to know. There is nothing else to know where you are right, where I am right. Okay. So omniscient, whichever one means all knowing. All knowing just means you're right about something, right? When I was a Christian, I was all knowing. I was right about that. There was nothing else to know. Nobody needed to ask any more questions. Nothing else needed to be questioned in that area because I was all knowing. Those of us who are mothers, we're right about the way we mother, right? We're right about the way we raise our kids. We are all knowing when it comes to motherhood, right? Tell the truth now. I mean, in your jobs, the stuff that you're doing, many of us, we're in jobs to where people don't want to do nothing different. This is the right way to do it. There's no more questions to be asked. There's no other thing to be done here. This is what's right. Okay. So all of those attributes that we give to God, omniscience, omnipresence, whatever the other one is, right? That's you. That's me. Those are the attributes I've given to myself for this thing that I have made. So when I talk about in firing God, how that was just gone. So I remember calling my oldest sister. I don't know if she remembers this, but I remember I was sitting in my driveway in my van. I called her and I said, I cannot go back to Christianity because we have this thing called backsliding, right? Where you go off, you have, illicit sex and you drinking and smoking and watching dirty movies and all this stuff, right? They call that backsliding. But you can come back to the church. You can ask for forgiveness and, do that dance and over and over again, right? You can do that. But I told her, I said, that's not what this is. I cannot go back because there is nothing to go back to. Those are my exact words. There is nothing to go back to, right? So my dad, he passed when I was little, but he used to call me, his nickname for me was Bill. He had a nickname for all of us. His nickname for me was Bill because Bill, was one of his friends who had passed. Nobody ever called me Bill except my dad. When my dad passed away, Bill was gone too, right? Because that was where Bill originated, you know. Nobody has called me Bill since. I don't answer to Bill, nothing like that, right? Bill wasn't there. Bill was just, was something that he had created and that I had acknowledged, right? As being like it's crystallized self, not fake art and not real, but just something that was there as part of me, right? So that part is no longer there. So here, when I questioned my beliefs, it was a belief that I questioned. I didn't question a person. I didn't question an object. It was a belief, right? When that belief died, everything that was attached with it died too. So it actually felt like an open space. Like seriously, y'all, seriously, no joke. It felt like there was just empty space wherever that belief was, and I talk about this a little in my book and in some of my interviews too, because it was a feeling of just being empty in that area, whatever that was. And I've always wondered, what the hell was that? Like, what was there before? Now, belief is really strong, you guys, because something that I talk about in my work in training and development is that if you can get somebody to believe something different than they do now, actions are going to follow. Actions ain't got no choice but to follow, what you believe. If I believe that corporal punishment is the way to raise my children, guess what I'm gonna do? What am I gonna do? If that's something that I believe strongly, that this is the best way to raise your child. What if I believe that it's not? Corporal punishment is like abuse. You don't do that, especially to children. You just don't do that. Then what am I going to do? What are my actions going to be? If I believe that I am a sinner with the blackest soul, that I don't even deserve to be on this earth, the only reason I'm here is because of grace from this being called God. What am I going to do? How am I going to act? How am I going to build my life? What other kinds of ideas and beliefs am I going to have to back that up? Right? Belief is very, very, very powerful. Y'all know that. Okay. Now, right now, I don't feel that sense of that open space anymore because something else has crystallized, in that area, and has a lot to do with what I'm talking about today. Now, I'm not saying that you believing in God or not believing in God or believing in, I don't know, Allah or whatever else is out there, all this other stuff is good or bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that consensual hallucination, you going into a movie and saying, I'm going to suspend my critical thinking, right? And believe this thing so I can enjoy it. I'm not saying that's good or bad, right? Oh, and that's something we have to do too, right? So that's how consensual hallucination fits into this belief thing, right? Because for a lot of stuff we believe, you got to ignore the obvious. Come on now. Many of y'all listening to this video are in relationships right now. You see doggone well that person is not good for you. You see that. But you are deliberately suppressing your critical thinking because there's something about this relationship that you want to enjoy. I'm telling you what I know, all right? It's not something that I read. I'm telling you what I know, okay? So that's how consensual hallucination fits into it. So I'm not saying none of this stuff is good or bad. I'm just telling you what I finally saw. Who the hell was I talking to when I was on my knees and all this stuff, right? I was ciphering, right? Like that's what I was doing. I was, creating something out of thin air, like Busta Rhymes does when he ciphers. I was just, that's what I was, and I kept doing it, right? Going to church helped me to continue to cipher and to create this thing that I had made, this omniscient, omnipresent, omni whatever thing, person, being that I had made, that was the object of my worship and my prayer and all that. Okay. Now I say on this channel, if you're on this channel, if you're not, go to this channel and like this damn video. What I say in the banner is God is real, but belief in God is not. Did you catch that? I'm gonna say it one more time. God is real, but belief in God is not. So let's do this before I end this video. Let me use another word to say the same thing. Water is real, but belief in water is not. What I'm saying here, for what's real, anything that's real, belief is not required. What you gonna do that for? What? How would you even believe in water? Like, how does that even work? Like, what is that? Like seriously, how would you believe in water? Because it's right there. What would you do that for? Now, can you believe in Santa Claus? All day, every day, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, you can believe in Santa. Why? Tell me why. No, I can't hear you. Why? Okay. And that's what I'm telling you. Belief is not necessary. You can do that shit if you want to. You can do it. You know, I'm not saying you do what you want to do. It's your life. I ain't got nothing to do with it. But I'm just telling you from my own perspective, belief is not necessary. All right, but you can do that shit. I do it too. I believe in some stuff, you know. I suspend my critical thinking, but I know I'm doing it. That's the difference. I know what I'm doing. I know that I'm doing it. And because I know I'm doing it, and I know that I have control over it, I can stop if I want to. I sound like a drug addict, right? I can stop anytime I want to, right? But that's what they say. But that means you are in control of that thing. You have power over it. We have beliefs don't control us, okay? Beliefs don't control the believer, you know. There is no belief without the believer, okay? You're the believer, okay? So which means you have the accountability, the power, and the control to either get rid of that or change it or do whatever you want to do. Okay, so that's the thing. You are the believer, you are in control of it. It's not the other way around. Okay? And this applies work, life, whatever it is you're doing. All right, so again, I'm Cheryl Abram. I am the author of this amazing book, Firing God. Go pick it up. It's on Amazon and on my publisher's website, New Harbinger Publications. They're not very good. Can I say this? I mean, they do like the bare minimum. What's less than the bare minimum? That's what they do, but that's all right. Okay. Life Without a Witness, that's the name of my channel. Like and subscribe and share this if you find that it's valuable and would add value to someone else's perspective. Talk to y'all later. Bye.